You're listening to Get to Know World of Warships, a podcast created by Boggzy and Synpax.
All right, everybody, I am very excited. I have a cool guest here today to talk about something topical, which is ranked. I have I don't even know how to describe him. He's a streamer on Twitch. He's a member of 07 Devastating Strike, who just finished up their third in a row COTS victory for NA, is about to go to the international finals along with 3 other teams from NA next weekend for COTS Internationals. And he is here specifically to talk to me about ranked, because this guy is the guy to talk to about ranked. Please, everybody, let's say hi to Generaldort. Hi, Dort.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, man. I'm glad you're here to talk to me about ranked, because I'm stuck at rank 5 and I'm bashing my head against the wall. And as I understand it, you haven't just bashed your head against the wall. You've literally bashed your head against the wall on every server, and you do this multiple times because I guess you hate yourself or something. You rank out on multiple servers and have done this for multiple seasons of rank. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think it comes down to some deep-seated issues I had from childhood. I don't understand it. There's some problem with me that makes me want to continue to suffer through this stuff. But I think I try to dissect it a little bit. You know, I'm from the Northeast United States, and up there, complaining is part of us being happy. And my goodness, does ranked make it? It's just a right place to just complain. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think more salt gets mined out of ranked and World of Warships than in all of like the Wisconsin salt caves combined. It's It's crazy. So let me just start with this. Why do you do this to yourself? What on earth is it about ranked that makes you see this as a challenge to be conquered?
Well, I don't know. I think part of it comes down to streaming too, because oftentimes I like to stream playing just with my friends, from 07 or whoever else, and we're all just kind of doing what we want to do together and having just random banter, which is always fun sometimes. But ranked offers you the opportunity to just talk to your chat a lot individually, because it's an individual event, and it allows you to kind of really focus in and zone in on that. But I mean, also I was interested in seeing what other servers were like and if the play styles were any different. And what I found was, my goodness, they are very different.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I've never played on another server. For anybody listening who doesn't know, there are 4, technically, like we'll just say, for all intents and purposes, there are 4 servers of World of Warships. There's North America, there's the European Union, there's CIS, which is the Russian server, and then there's SEA, which is the Southeast Asian server. There's technically another, like, I think it's just a Chinese server as well, but it's like a different animal altogether. Like they're like 5 patches behind us or something crazy. I think they're still on RTS carriers. So
beyond the Great Firewall, yes.
Yes, beyond the Great Chinese Firewall.
Right.
So let's, before we get into talking about specifics about ranked, like give me an overview of how is the feeling on EU different than NA versus CIS versus SCA? What are your first impressions of those servers?
Well, I mean, it's changed over time. There's been, I mean, whatever season you look at and whatever tier is the focus of the day, it changes. It changes how every other server kind of functions, and when the meta changes too. So, I wrote some rules on ranked battles back 3 years ago. I'm actually looking at it now.
Really?
Pulled it up. I put it on Reddit. Yeah.
Okay.
And it just kind of gives a snapshot of like what each and every server was like. And this was when it was tier 7. And I used to just use a Nagato on every single one of these servers. And now this is the last time I think the Chinese server was on the same patch as everybody else. So I ranked out in North America, 103 games, 63% win rate. And what I noticed from NA was that they had a lot of skilled players, like individually skilled players, but not a lot of teamwork. People would kind of do their own thing a lot. And it made the experience a little bit painful. But in that same season, going over to Europe, I noticed with 130 games and a 62% win rate that there was a lot of teamwork, but also a lot of rage. It was kind of strange. They were very in tune with being on, helping each other out, mutually supporting. But if something didn't go the way that they had planned, the rage would just be profuse in chat. It was kind of great. It is to this day. Actually, in game, one of the most toxic servers if things don't go well.
The EU server.
Yeah, well, now that's just me not knowing how to read Russian, because lots of stuff pops up in Russian when I'm over there, and I may very well be angry. I don't know, but what I noticed about NA is that a lot of destroyers, A lot of individually skilled players, minimal on the BBs and cruisers. In Europe, it was kind of a healthy mix of 1 to 4 DDs per team, 1 to 2 cruisers, 3 to 4 BBs, and it was team play based. And uh, they would be very methodical about ways to prosecute games. It's pretty good. Now, Russia is my favorite server to play on, though,
Why is that?
because they are so incredibly aggressive. They don't care about the meta. Like, they just don't. I mean, they will go right at you with anything. DDs, cruisers, battleships. I mean, it is just a bare knuckle brawl in a bar, just with vodka flowing everywhere.
Wow.
It's incredible.
I mean, do you think there's somebody with a Maxim machine gun sitting behind him going, "Forward, comrade! Always forward!"
They must be. I don't know. It must be a cultural thing, but it's like a slight on their honor if they sit behind a rock. They still have those players there, but they're usually like Southeast Asian inserts from the server because there was a transfer. But the actual Russian players are just so violently aggressive that it's just crazy.
That's
and if you don't
amazing.
like sniping, that's your brawling server, man. That's how you do it.
Wow.
You know.
Fair enough. What about SCA? You threw them in there during the Russian server, but how do they strike you generally?
Yeah, Southeast Asia is the worst server on the face of the planet. It is 100% the worst. So just looking back in that one season where I ranked out in every server, Southeast Asia took 199 games, 55% win rate, 1 to 3 DDs per team, 4 to 5 ARP cruisers per team, and like 1 BB. And again, that was tier 7, and that was years ago. But they're a very passive server. They don't brawl very much. They like to sit behind islands a lot. They spam HE. They try to avoid the direct confrontation that the Russian server like feasts on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking to rock a battleship over there, you're probably wasting your time, and you're just meat. That's all you are. So I mean, Southeast Asia, very, very, very passive meta. And then, oh, by the way, the population is very small, so you wait a lot longer to play ranked games, or any game for that matter. I went over to Southeast Asia to grind out for the season when I first began, and my first match was a 1 versus 1
You
at
kidding
tier
me?
1. Yep. I did a 1v1 tier 1 because there was just nobody on the server after like a 5-minute queue time.
And it didn't like fill it with bots or anything, or?
No, not back then.
Oh my god! It was literally
Yeah.
just you and one poor sucker.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and you want to talk about like filling games with bots and craziness. Like season 1 of ranked really was the true Wild West. Tier 6 plus tier 7, and the matchmaker was uneven. That was
no.
like you could have Colorados versus New Mexicos. You could have Negados versus Fusos. One team could have a CB, the other team could not. It was
What?
one team could have more players than the other. Like I oftentimes you would play back then, and it would be a 2-ship deficit. So if you had the one tier 7 and the other team didn't, then you would have 5 ships and they would have 7. It was just absolutely insane.
There's something to be said though for, like, I want to call it like the sandbox months for a new game, when they're still not feeling, or they're feeling things out. They still haven't quite like predicted all of the balance measures they're gonna need, like things like that. So they just sort of go, let's just run it and see how it works, and then we'll reprogram it later once the problems arise. Like there's something, it's sort of like a blind playthrough for a new game. Like I always remember GoldenEye 64, just going, I don't want to know what's going on. I'm just going to play through it and enjoy and look in all the little nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
Nothing optimized about it. It's just like you said, it's the Wild West. Well, that's really interesting. I never having played on another server. Actually, COTS International is going to be one of my first times really experiencing the EU server. So we'll see, or any of the other servers for that matter. So I'm looking forward to seeing how your descriptions stack up. I know it's ranked versus highly competitive play, but I'm really looking for that sort of stuff. So, so that's so that's really interesting. I wanna ask you too. Like, I should ask you this right from the beginning, but you specifically are known for your ability to rank out quickly and on multiple servers. So much so that Synpax actually, before he left TNG and the podcast and World of Warships in general, he had down in the we have a spreadsheet set out to kind of like say, here's where we're going with the podcast, here's who we're trying to get, here's who we have locked in, here are the dates and whatnot. And global rank out with Dort was on the docket for a long time, and we just never really got around to it. So your reputation precedes you. So I mean,
Oh,
would you say that every season of ranked you rank out on multiple servers, and like how long does it usually take you? Can you give me just an estimate?
well, I mean, obviously it took the longest back, 3 years ago when I ranked out on every server to include China, which we didn't talk
Oh, you
about yet.
did! Oh my god!
Yeah, that took me about a month, I think. No, 3 weeks, 3 weeks or so. Yeah, but that was also with me grinding each. I had to grind accounts on each one of those just to be
Sure,
able to
yeah.
even play. But it all depends, right? It all depends on like this season, for example, the 18th season ranked in North America. I had a Bourgogne, took me 72 games, 71% win rate. Not bad, right?
Pretty good.
But that I had a ship that was fast, it was stealthy, it could shoot a lot of shells, it could cause the enemy to be really confused when you ended up on their flank and they were broadside. And it forced them to make decisions and deal with multiple problems instead of just shooting in one direction going bow in. That's what you're really trying to achieve in ranked, and that helped me with that. But some seasons you don't have that. Some seasons you have battleships that just aren't going to do anything for you, so you got to hop into a DD. But I would say on average, like for me, if I'm really buckled down, it can take me 4 days to rank out per server.
Wow,
4 to 5 days, yeah.
that's
hmm
pretty impressive. I
If
mean, I'm
I'm
assuming you're
if
playing a lot
I'm
more than I
dialed
do.
in, well, that was when I didn't really have a crazy job with. I mean, I've been in the army, but some jobs are harder than others, and I had a lot of free time, and I don't have as much now. But
Oh, I
yeah,
see.
I it only took 4 to 6 days to rank out per server when I had everything set.
Now's probably a good time to ask you what's your what tier is your favorite ranked season?
Oh, 8 by far. I
Eight's the
love
most
it.
fun.
Yeah, 8. You got that North Carolina, that Massachusetts. You got. I mean, the radar is not too crazy.
Right.
Decent balance in DDs. I think tier 8's the most fun tier in this game.
Yeah, that was the tier eight was the last like long season of ranked that wasn't a sprint, right? It was an eight. I feel
I
like it
think
was an
so.
eight. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
All right. Yeah, I remember my first season of ranked that I played was a 10. That's where I got the. I had just gotten my first tier 10, which was the gross occur first, and by just playing that in ranked, I ground out the legendary module and all that. And I felt stoked, but I got to rank 2, and then I slid back to 4 and 5, and I went, I think I'm done with this. I think I'm done.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to lose my mind. And
sounds about right.
after that, it was tier 9, and that was a nightmare for me just because I hadn't really spent much time playing tier 9. But so let's talk about saving stars versus winning the games, because this is, as anybody who's played ranked knows, this is one of the most common accusations that can be thrown at you in a ranked game is you're just trying to save your star, you horrible potato, you should go hang yourself. So let's talk saving star versus winning games. Where do you sort of stand on that in terms of if you were to tell somebody, hey, this is ranked in World of Warships, here's what you do. Do you tell them to play to save your star, or do you tell them to play to win the game?
Absolutely not. I tell them to play to win the game every time. Now, on NA and on NA, there seems to be a decent amount of attitude to try to win the game, right? And I've seen that over the last few seasons. On EU, you've got kind of a healthy mix. Um, on Russia, you've got folks that desperately just want to win. You don't have people who are trying to save stars. And on Southeast Asia, you got people that are exclusive star savers. So kind of like it's weird that different regions have different outcomes when it comes to that. But the bottom line is saving your star will only buy you a little bit of time overall. You got to be able to win, and
Right.
you've got to be able to understand how to win. And it's actually not that difficult if you just look at it from a kind of mathematical perspective when it comes down to tactics. But yeah, I mean, absolutely not. If you have a star saver on your team, that's the wrong person you want. That's not your wingman. That person's in it for themselves. They just they're not even part of the whole team mentality, and that's an issue from the get go.
Now, you mentioned the mathematics of a ranked game, and this obviously is getting down into optimization and stuff like that. So, can you just expand a little bit on what you mean by the mathematics of a ranked game?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty basic. I mean you have to create multiple problem sets for the enemy. You have to. I mean you literally cannot just come and attack from one angle. It's got to be two or more. The enemy is going to go bow in. How are you going to go ahead and take advantage of that? That's why if you have two battleships, if you have both of them going in one direction, well, you've kind of failed the math problem, haven't you? Because the ability to do cross shots from across the map is what's going to open up those lanes for you to exploit with destroyers and cruisers. But when everyone just goes in one direction and fights each other that way, it just becomes a shootout in the OK Corral, and it just comes down to RNG, and that's not what you want to trust your victory in. Not RNG at all. You want it to be as predictable as possible, and that means flanking. That means being smart about when you commit in a battleship, not being too passive, but not being too aggressive. You should always have some kind of screen out in front of you, whether it be a DD or a cruiser, and yeah, you just really want to make the enemy focus on something over here while you punch him over here. That's really what it comes down to, and it's quite simple. And you see a lot of people that are flankers uh, do very very well. Like the Bourgogne in this game for this season allowed me to do exactly that. Just get out there and have 5 or 6 people focusing on me. Meanwhile, the rest of the team and their potato aim can damage the enemy broadside. So
Sure, yeah, fast battleship with decent armor, reload, booster, and lots of guns certainly can make its way over to a flank and surprise those big flat broadside Soviet cruisers that seem to be so popular now. So, all right. So what you're saying essentially to somebody who's somewhat new to ranked would be, hey, take a look at the map and spread out in a way that allows you to hit multiple things at once and to threaten caps and to have open lines of fire is sort of what you're getting at, right?
oh yeah, and taking a look at the map is one of the most important things. You got to know where your coverage is for DDs and who can screen in front of you. You got to know if you're getting too far out on your own and not able to have mutual support from anybody else. And you've got to know when you're all bunched up and then be able to make adjustments from there too. So a lot of people I feel like in this game don't have good map awareness, and they also kind of sit in sniper mode between shots, which is also kind of a big no-no. So situational awareness in this game is the most important uh, skill that you can bring to the table. It is not just a left click. It is not just an arcade shooter. You have to be playing 3D chess while other people are playing checkers.
Right. So what he's saying to everybody, folks, is that after you shoot your shots, you don't sit there and watch your shots travel through the air to see if they land properly. You fire your shots, you trust they were good shots, you look around, and then maybe you check back to see exactly where they landed to see if you need to adjust your fire. Don't just sit there and watch.
Push the shift button.
Yeah. Push the shift button. That's
That's
it.
all you got to do.
If you learn anything from this podcast, ladies and gents, push the shift button every once in a while. It'll help.
Yeah.
Well, so then let's go into depth real quick. Was there something else you wanted to say about that?
Yeah, well, there's something. Well, I follow my shells in. I push Z when they come out, and then I can turn my mouse around, and I can see a lot of stuff from the shell's perspective. So that's kind of another thing too. You don't have to just push shift and just trust that they're going to go where they're going to go. You can follow them in and still look at other stuff. It helps to have ADHD when you play this game, by the way.
I did not know that you could actually, while you're watching the shells, I didn't know that you could look around from that camera.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's okay. I've only got 8,500 battles. I shouldn't have known that by now. Well, so let's do an overview real quick of I sort of Simpax and I did a couple of episodes where we tried to during ranked usually we try to take someone who's exceptionally good at a specific ship and say, okay, let's go through the steps sort of one by one on how to play this ship properly if you're just getting used to it. So we don't have to go through specific ships, but let's just go through the classes real quick. You load up into a game. You're telling somebody who's somewhat new to ranked what they should be doing when they load up in a DD. First thing when the map starts, what's their objective?
Their objective is obviously to get a cap that's easy as fast as possible without being too aggressive. Because it all depends on the map, right? So on North, in this specific season, you had a cap that's to the west side of the map if you're on the south or on the north, and it's uncapped, so you have to get on it, and you want to start that point tick early, because if you can start the point tick early, that'll make the other team have to make decisions to push into you, right? So whoever has the most points can kind of sit back a little bit and then force the enemy to make an aggressive move, which could make them vulnerable. So that's what a DD should be doing. A DD should also be shooting, area denial torpedoes, even if they don't have a target. Just based on experience, they should know in certain lanes where the enemy comes from. Shoot some torps there, delay them, or maybe you'll even get lucky and hit something. And then really just spotting and smoking up your cruisers is very helpful. Not being selfish and smoking up yourself. I see a lot of selfish DDs out there that will just literally just sit in one puff of smoke and just start shooting while a battleship or a cruiser is looking. It doesn't matter how much damage you do in ranked. It does not. It doesn't matter how many kills you get in ranked. It all matters about positioning and setting up the team for success. and a DD is like in a perfect situation to be able to do that. Especially if there's no CV, the DD is the most influential class in my opinion.
Very good. So selfish DDs are DDs that are doing it wrong, I think, is the lesson to take away from that. And I'm just going to lump CLs and CAs together, cruisers in general. Cruiser loads into the game. I realize there's a pretty broad spectrum of cruisers and their functions, but generally speaking, what's a cruiser need to be doing first thing in ranked?
Well, cruiser to me is like it's kind of like how the Tirpitz was in World War II for the Germans, a fleet in being. It's like one ship. It can be put in a certain place. It doesn't meet the enemy out in open water oftentimes because it'll get destroyed. But if it's properly positioned behind an island with radar or whatever to mutually support destroyers and force the enemy to make decisions because it's physically in that position, then that is what a cruiser player should be doing. So, if you look World War II, the Tirpitz was up in Norway, and the British, the Allies really had to make decisions on what combat power to apply to that one ship because they were so afraid of it. But that
Sure.
Tirpitz was never going to leave its bay and its harbor to go fight because it knew it would be destroyed. But nevertheless, the Allies had to do something about it, and that's what a cruiser does.
Right. So, I mean, basically, you're saying that the Tirpitz was essentially it punched way out of its weight class simply by existing. It caused the British to have to change their tactics and not do certain things simply because it existed, even if it wasn't actively engaging them.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
100% correct.
All right. Well, so the cruiser basically is saying, hey, if I'm here in this corner, I think we've all seen the Stalingrad or the Des Moines that sits on a corner, sort of, and you look at it and you go, well, crap. I'm a DD. I got to give that a 12-kilometer berth because it can radar me if it's a Stally. Or, that DM has just absolutely punishing DPM, especially with its really high-angled AP shells. So I think we've all been in that point where you go, oh, I can't push on that. It sounds like
Right.
that's what you're saying is, hey, you take up position and you hold it while other people do what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. And you buy time. You buy decision space for the
Excellent.
rest of your team to do stuff.
And the '07 special, the 28-kilometer BB Blap. You load up in a BB. What's your job in a BB in a ranked game?
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, the 28-kilometer BB Black is more of a potato quality or William the Dank special. I'm more of a brawler. They can hit those shots. I can't really hit those shots too much. But, in a battleship, your job really, depending on what the enemy combat power set looks like, is to just not die too soon because you're a fleet in being as well. Like a fully operational battleship. I mean, that's what the name battleship comes from. You should be able to carry on the battle with just one ship. And you can do multiple things: shoot down planes, have secondaries to shoot small targets. You got big guns to shoot big targets. But if you are removed from the battle prematurely, then you really can't support your squishier ships. And battleships, obviously in ranked, have to be in a position to where they can force the enemy to not push your squishy teammates, and kind of denying that. Now, if you're trying to get those juicy broadsides, which is what every single battleship player looks for in all those citadels,
Mhm.
then you must go separate directions at the beginning of a ranked battle game. If you have multiple BBs, if you go the same direction, then you're just going to be shooting bow-in stuff. You have to be able to get out a little bit and support each other and get that crossfire going. Otherwise, your potential damage that you could be getting it's cut down by orders of magnitude less. And it's frustrating. No one wants to just sit there and shoot HE at a bow in Kremlin or a bow in Stalingrad, right? You want to hit the side. So you got to take some risks there, and you got to be cognizant of your surroundings and be able to maneuver and juke. And just because you're a battleship doesn't mean you just continue to go straight. You float like a butterfly, sting like a BB, right? But you
Sure.
got to go left, right, up, down, whatever it takes. You can juke something in a Kurfürst, you can juke something in a Kremlin, whatever. Like you just can't be an easy target to hit. And you got to also, the most important thing I think for a battleship to do is, when conditions are set, is cause the enemy to shoot at you instead of your friends, right?
Right.
Like you angle in, you move around with your engines, you go left, right, up, down, like I just talked about, and you cause the enemy to just waste shells on you. And then meanwhile, they're just getting beat to death by all of your little friends with the 5-inchers, the 6-inchers, the 8-inchers. And you're not doing any damage really, but you're keeping the damage off of them. And they're crushing your opponent with their DPM. Very important to understand that your battleship is not just a thing that you want to keep your hit point bar full on for the entire game. Like you have to get in there at some point and you have to go ahead and let them shoot at you. You're a punching bag. I'm sorry to say it. You're a punching bag.
Right. So one of the things that a lot of us saw, and myself especially, from casting a number of games during COTS this last couple weeks, was that frequently in the higher level games towards the end of the tournament, what we would see battleships that lasted nearly the entire game untouched, and part of that was because people knew, hey, if you have something better to shoot at as opposed to this battleship, ignore that battleship because it's just there to be a damage sponge and to distract from the squishier things like the cruisers and the DDs. And only when you literally have nothing else to shoot at do you then start taking shots at the BB trying to chip damage away. And it sounds like what you're saying is essentially that's the job of the BB, is partly to know, hey, when do I move up and use some of that bulk and that armor and that really, really, large slab of hit points to take some of the pressure off my team and force the enemy into making a decision. Hey, do I just start shooting at this BB now and let their cruisers and DDs off the hook, or, do I let this battleship just push into me?
That's exactly right. I mean, that's the long and short of it right there. Sure. Battleships can be extremely useful when they know how to push in, but oftentimes I see too many that just sit in the back, and that's exactly where they like to sit, and that's just not the way you're supposed to play the class.
Right. Well, so I don't think we need to go into CVs, do you? Do you want to talk about CVs and Rankout?
Yeah, I avoid them. This last season, I only had a couple games because I just jump out of the queue. I just think I think aircraft carriers are exceptionally unbalanced, and I know I'm not the only one who shares that opinion. I think that if you're trying to do what I'm talking about with flanking and making the enemy deal with multiple problems, that becomes infinitely more difficult when a CV can just focus you the entire time, and it becomes infinitely difficult to dodge. They're going to get guaranteed hits. You're going to shoot some planes down, but they're going to get their stuff off. What it ends up doing is just clumping everybody in one area, which really makes the gameplay quite stale and not too fun at all. Sure. I don't know too many people who play with CVs on their team that think that they're having a good time, and I mean, you look at like the Yamato or the Musashi. Musashi's probably a better example. When it was sunk before the Battle of Leyte Gulf, I mean, it took a lot of punishment before it went down. A lot of punishment, and some aircraft carriers now can literally just take one squadron of their AP dive bombers and just in a couple passes just completely remove your ship from the map. I mean, battleship or otherwise. That to me is decidedly unbalanced. And again, a battleship or any ship's AA is finite. It can be destroyed. You have a percentage that you can see when you push H in game about where it's at. But yet planes can continue to come out at a pretty breakneck pace depending on what the type of carrier it is.
Right.
So it's just to me it just doesn't seem like it fits right now, and Wargaming really has to, I think, go back to the drawing board and kind of balance it out a little bit.
Can confirm in the early part of this season of Ranked, I positioned my Yamato on Sleeping Giant in a position where I was like, I have wonderful fields of fire, and then the Manfred von Richthofen dive bombers took me in one triple pass, took me from 77,000 HP to dead.
Yep.
And I mistakenly had used my defense fighter on the torpedo bombers that had previously come. But I sort of realized, I'm in a great position, but there's nobody near me. So it's just my AA, which is not good enough to get the job done. And I was zeroed out from 77,000 to nothing by the AP dive bombers. They are a menace. I hear you there.
Well, I mean, the other thing is too, your friendly CV can't do anything to help you out, right? And back when we had RTS, fighters could lock up with each other. Now they just drop them off. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if you're in that situation and you're that very important capital ship in a Yamato, by the way, you're crucial no matter where you're at. And that CV is going to want to go ahead and protect you, but he can't if the way the game is set up right now. I mean, the fighters just kind of fly around, and but before they could lock up and kind of save you. But now it's just every CV can just have at each other pretty much.
Yep. It's definitely it's a new beast. as they say.
Yeah.
So let's move on and let's just talk a little bit about you yourself. You said that you are military. Are you active or are you veteran?
I'm active. It's what I do for a living. It's fun.
I
Fun
see.
times.
Well, obviously, thank you very much for your service. I think I can speak for everybody who listens to these podcasts that there are an enormous number of veterans who play this game. It's shocking. So thank you very much for your service and for everybody else playing the game who has served the country. And I'm sort of curious. It says on your Twitch page that you also play other naval games.
Yeah,
What are
I've
some of the
messed
other games you
around.
play?
I've dabbled with Sea of Thieves for a little while. It was a lot of fun, but it just it was that pirate game or whatever. But
Yeah, yeah.
it lacked a competitive flair. I don't know. I'm the kind of guy, and I know a lot of my friends are that play online too. That they want to play competition. They want to have something mean something when they win, and mean something when they lose. Right? There's got to be a weight or a gravity to it, and I think ranked provides that to some degree, and COTS provides it to some degree here. But in Sea of Thieves, it's just float around and kill people, which was fun for a few months. But yeah,
Yeah. In
got
your
stale.
experience, what kind of stuff makes for the best streaming material?
The best stream material?
Yeah.
Oh man, it all depends on the kind of people you're watching that are watching you. Like I know people on Twitch that, by my estimation, are a little bit. They're very calm, not technically that interesting to watch for my personal taste, but have thousands of viewers.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people on Twitch like the chill vibe. But for my channel in particular, it's the quick-witted insults, the funny rage, the banter back and forth. But like, I'll tell you this though: if you're trying to make it big on Twitch, being nicer gets you more viewers, and that is true. And in times where I've been pretty tame, I have gotten more viewers, but they're not the kind of viewers that I've wanted.
I
My
see.
whole Twitch chat is like I don't know, they're the guys in the bar that will help beat someone up with you behind a dumpster, and that's exactly the kind of people I want. Or help you hide a body, completely inappropriate, but they're my guys.
Well,
So
you heard it here, folks. When bodies go missing, look at '07's Discord. There'll be clues there.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, those are my people.
Those are your
But
boys.
yeah, but to be successful on Twitch, you got to hit your niche, and most of the time, people like nice people. They like to watch nice people have
Sure.
positive energy, take away from the negativity of their life. That's what I think.
I do think a certain amount of competence is necessary. You've got a very strong stream going for yourself. Doubtlessly, your ability to rank out multiple times is a big part of that. This has got to be one of the most frustrating parts of this game is ranked, getting from rank 5 to rank 1. So
Mhm.
any amount of instruction is almost always helpful for folks. And that, in fact, I should point out that when I was just struggling to get affiliate status, which for those of you who don't know, you have to get a few check marks ticked off before Twitch will allow you to essentially even accept money or start to gain things like subscribers, what have you. You need 50 followers, and I think I was sitting at about 35. It's tough when you're that first 50 is the most difficult, I would say. And BFK from '07 very kindly directed Dort's stream one day towards me, which put me well over that and helped me get affiliate. So thank you to you, sir. You may not have known exactly what was going on when BFK told you who to raid, but I definitely appreciated that.
That's good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Well, so then I just got 3 real quick questions for you before I let you
But
go.
I have one more thing though.
Oh, sure.
One more thing that's kind of like a silver bullet on if you want to, if you ever want to be a Twitch partner, anyone out there,
Yeah.
you just have to. I mean, even you could be salty, you could be sweet, you could be quiet, you could be loud. The bottom line is people like to watch folks who, yeah, they're competent, but they also enjoy what they're doing and enjoy the people they're talking to. That's bottom line up front. And a lot of people when they try to make the jump to partner, and I was guilty of this 2 years ago, is like you just try to grind a lot to get those numbers up, but eventually you stop having a good time because you're just doing it too much. So you got to break away from the computer. You got to drink water. You got to eat. You got to go exercise, and you got to come back refreshed and actually be happy because people want to see someone who is like literally enjoying what they're doing. That's really the biggest key.
You heard the general, people. Those are your orders. If you wanna if you wanna do that, drink water and make sure you get out of your computer's face every once in a while. Well, so I got one more question about ranked, which is, and then two little questions to wrap up, which is, what's something you'd like to see in ranked that hasn't come across yet, or maybe something that was there that they then took away that you'd like to see come back?
Oh man, after I ranked out in season 1 with like 8 other people on NA, Wargaming gave us Kitakamis. Just
What?
the 9 of us. Just the 9 of us. So we took those into season 2 and just ripped everything apart. And I don't want to see that so much for everybody, but I liked it when it was just mine. I could go watch 40 torpedoes on a cap and just watch the ribbons pop up on the right. It was so fun. I got a lot of hate for it that season, but
Oh my god! You know,
yeah.
one of our most listened to episodes was actually the CV main roundtable after season 9 of Clan Battles, when we had 4 CV mains from multi-server clans come on and discuss this. And we thought it would be so funny, considering that CVs have just got to be the most hated class. And Synpax and I were blown away by how the attitudes of these guys. It was just like, oh yeah, well, you should hate us, and we like that you hate us. We asked them to sink ships specifically. It was a game that we play sometimes, and like they sank all the ships that just target CVs, and they were just so cynical about it. Even what's his name, CV NMSL. It's a bad word in the country that he comes from, I think, but he said I would sink the Hakuryu. And we were like, what? Why? He goes, just so that all these people complaining that CVs are overpowered will see that once the CV's gone, it's not the CV, it's just that you're bad. And we were just like, oh my god! These guys are savage.
Yeah.
The fact that you want to bring the Kitakami back, not for everyone, just for you, just for the yucks. That's pretty savage, man.
That'd be so fun. Yeah, it's some stuff on Reddit about it where they asked me to just hurry up and rank out in season 2 because it was awful.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. Well, away from ranked now, what's on the horizon for you next? You're obviously a Twitch streamer. You still play World of Warships. You know, what's the next year, next couple of years look like for you in terms of that?
Oh, I mean, I just play whatever I want to play whenever I have time to play it, and play with the people that I like to play with. That's really all it comes down to. I mean, I'm in the Army, a very busy job. I haven't had a lot of time to stream lately. And that's kind of one of the key things about Twitch is consistency, right? That's how you keep your numbers where they need to be. And I haven't had that. But over the next year or so, I mean, I'm still going to be doing Army stuff. So I'll just keep playing ships whenever I can get it in. And if something better comes out, I'll play that too. But I mean, I take it pretty day by day. And I don't really have any like Twitch aspirations, if you will.
Sure.
Just kind of like get, just using it as a way to achieve my work-life balance from the Army, because the Army will consume you if you don't have a hobby.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm out back right now smoking a pork shoulder, because I just like to pretend I'm just, normal guy. So I'm smoking a pork shoulder. I'm doing a podcast with you, and I'm playing ranked. Like,
that's fantastic, man. I love it. And the last question for you: a few people who know you contacted me ahead of this podcast and said, Boggzy, you need to ask Dort about the ritual. So, Dort, what's the ritual?
Well, I mean, listen. The deal is, though, I can't just sing it for you right now. I can tell you what it is in theory, conceptually.
Sing it.
But
okay.
You
don't have to sing it. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on my spirit quest with the Cree and Choctaw Indians over the last 3 moons, I was able to find some pretty decent ways to hit the 7th chakra, really connect to the universe and the All Father, and that's a way for me to kind of channel all that energy from those delicious creatures and beasts that we call aircraft carriers, and
right,
help them get back into the circle of life.
Well, you're talking about, of course, the food chain and how certain types of creatures out there are consumed to further the lives of other creatures, correct?
Correct, exactly. It's all part of the circle of life. Just watch The Lion King; it's got it all there.
That's the one with the talking crow and the hyenas, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the one.
All right. Well, so Dort, we're gonna include a. I keep saying we. Papa Synpax has left us, but I keep saying we. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to keep saying we. It doesn't matter. It's my podcast. I can do what the hell I want.
That's true. It is.
Yeah, we're going to include me and the interns here. We're going to include a link to your Twitch stream so that anybody who is interested in getting some tips on ranked, want to see some entertainment, want to see one of World of Warships' most infamous and capable ranked players can do so. I want to thank you very much for donating your time. Good luck with your pork shoulder, and thank you again for your service for our country.
Thank you. They pay me, though, so I appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Take care.
All right, thanks. I'm going to go play some games.
Very good. And thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time.